Hi, my name is Vivien Jovet. I'm the team lead for Coder Studio development team at Toro. In this video, we're going to take a look at Content Assist in Toro Coder Studio. We'll see how to use it and how it can make you really super productive. Alright, so let's first take a look at Content Assist in the Group Model Editor. So I'm going to open my sample group service here. And once I'm in the Group Model Editor, I can just press the dot key. And when I do so, I get a pop-up appearing. So in this pop-up, you'll see a list of content proposal. So those here are what we call content proposal. They are proposals that will create a certain type of content for you, will set up something automatically, etc. So when I'm within this pop-up, I can search for the name of the proposal. So for example, if you wanted to add, let's say, an integer, so I get a proposal to add an integer. And when you search something and there is a match, you will see that it's automatically selecting the proposal without having to use the mouse. I can just use the up and down arrow key to select different proposal. And then once I have the one I want, I can press the enter key to apply it. So once I do so, you can see that the integer property is added. So let's name it. So I can add different types of property here. So for example, a string. I can add also a model. And you can add property to the model as well. So let's say, for example, another string. Let's make it street, etc. And there's one tip here is that if you want to add property not to the model, but outside of it, you can press the shift key while you're selecting the proposal and then press enter, and you can see that it's added the property outside of the address model and not within it. So that's for adding simple properties, but you can also add reference properties to it, so reference models. For example, I can search API response, press enter, and you can see that it created a model reference from it. So that's super handy because you can just search the name of the model and then you'll get it instantly. Another thing you can do with it is use some of our template proposal. So template proposal are more complex proposal that's gonna ask you some input. So for example, I can create models from markup. So we get two here, model from markup and model reference from markup. So the difference is that the model reference is going to create a file and then make it reference to the model. So let's pick the model from markup. So we support JSON, XML, and YAML. So let's try with JSON. So I'm going to do a sample model here, like let's say message test, maybe a number there. Then let's press finish. I can rename it, and then you can see that the equivalent group model for the JSON was created for me. So that's all for the group model editor. Now let's take a look at the group service editor. So in the group service editor, there is few parts where Content Assist is available. So you get the step 3 over here, and also the input and output view. So for the input and output view, it's exactly the same thing. Once you select one of the three, you can use the dot key and you get the same proposals as the group model editor, and same thing for the output over here. So let's take a look at how we can create steps with the Content Assist. So once I'm in the step 3, I press the dot key, and then I get different type of proposal here. So I can, for example, create a map step, press enter. I can create a block step. You can create any type of step with that, and again, same tip as for the group model editor Content Assist. You can press the shift key to add the step after the parentable step instead of inside. So for example, for the map here, it's adding it outside of it, and if I don't press the shift key, it's gonna add it inside. So in addition of creating simple step, you can also create invoke steps. So you know how you can drag a service and drop it into your own service to invoke it. So you can do that with the Content Assist as well. So I can, for example, search for an HTTP service. And another tip here is that if you are at the top of the list and you want to get at the bottom, you can simply press the up arrow key, and it's gonna go directly to the top, to the bottom, sorry, of the list, and then you can pick the one you want. So it's much faster. So once I'm there, you can see that on the description pop-up here, I get every information I need about that service and how to use it. If I focus here and hover over that parameter, for example, I get the complete namespace for it. So that's nice. So let's select that, press enter, and you can see that it created the invoke step for me. You can do that as well for Gloop. So let's say, for example, I want the print person from the examples package. There we have our invoke Gloop. We can do that with Flux, process data also from the example package. Press enter. We have an invoke step. You can also consume flat files with that. So for example, let me find one flat file here. So over here I get a flat file. So you can read or write with that flat file descriptor. So once you select it, it's gonna ask you if you want to read or to write. So let's say that this time we want to read. And then over here it's created 3 steps. So the first step is to open the employee cursor, declare a cursor for it, add it to the iterate step, and then map it. So you can see within a second you get 3-step configure to do something. It's much faster than do it manually. Alright, now let's take a look at what kind of templates we get also in Content Assist for the Gloop Service Editor. So the Gloop Service Editor has a lot of different type of proposal like you just saw. So they are categorized, and if you want to cycle through the categories, you can use the control space shortcut that is indicated here. So if I do control space, I get first the steps, the templates, the invoke code, Gloop, Flux, etc. So let's take a look at the templates. So we get a bunch of templates here. So we get one, for example, for the block step, fork, for logging, iterate, etc. And another tip here is that most of them have a shorthand name. So you can search by their name. So for example, the try there. But I can also do TCF, and then I'll get the same proposal there. So usually it's using their acronym. So let's pick that. And there it's creating a block step that is configured with the proper block type of try catch finally. Then you get more complex templates. So for example, the fork true false. So when I do fork true false, I'm gonna have to pick step for the true and a step for the false. So let's say first we have a block step, and then let's pick a map. And then at the end, it's gonna ask me for the expression for that fork step. So then I can just say enter here. So it created the fork step for me with the expression, the proper label for each step, etc. Another one that is one of my favorite is when you want to iterate over an array. So for example, let's create an array here. String. Let's create a string array. You can see also I get proposal for string array, which is nice. Let's create an input array here, output array over here. So when I go back to the step 3 here and press dot, I can type iter and then iterate over array. So that iterate over array will set up an iterate step for me with the proper input and output array. So once I select it, it's prompting me to select an input array. So you're gonna select the input array and then of course the output array. And then I can just add map step, and you can see that the iterate step is configured to iterate over the input array and then output to the output array. So it's much faster than doing it manually in the properties view. Another thing that you can do with Content Assist in the step 3 is mapping. So you don't have to go to the mapper to do mapping now. You can do it with the Content Assist. So I can say, for example, map, and we have a proposal for map property. So once I select that, it's gonna ask me to choose a property. So let's say we want the input array, and then you have to choose a property to map to. So let's say the output array, and you can see it created a map step for me, map line step, sorry. And when I look at the mapper, you can see that the line was created as well. And it's similar for the set expression, so I can type set set an expression, choose the property that I want to set it on, and then type the expression. And you can see that it created the set expression on the mapper as well. You have content assist also on the mapper itself. So for example, I can declare variables. So it works exactly at the same way as the input and output. So I can declare a string, or I can declare a model reference, etc. Sorry. And you can do mapping as well. So I can, for example, click on the input here, press the dot and say map to, and then choose the opposite property, so the output property, and then I get a map line as well. So that's all for the step themselves. And you also get content assist on Groovy expression. So for example, if I have a Groovy step and double click here, I get the Groovy script dialog, and within the dialog I can now press the control space or also the dot key when you are querying properties. For example, I can say control space, and then I get the different group properties that are available within that script. So for example, if I pick the person one and press the dot key again, then I get the properties that are available in that group model. And once you have a property, then you can also get the available properties and methods on that object. So that's really nice. Another one that is very useful is when you want to set an expression on the model. We have a DSL for it, but the syntax is not always easy to remember, so we have a proposal for it. So when you set an expression on a model, you can press the control space and then type DSL, and then you'll get a proposal to generate group model DSL. Once you press enter, you can just fill up the DSL, tab again, and then you're good. And it created your set expression with the group model DSL here. Alright, so that's all for the group service editor. Now let's take a look at Flux. So I'm going to open my sample Flux here. So when you create a state, you can do it using the context menu with the mouse, but you can also use the content assist. So for example, I'm going to position my mouse in the corner here, press the dot key, so you see the content assist appearing. And then in the same way as the group service editor, I can search for group services, invoke services, and other Flux services. So I can, for example, use the print person service, give it a name, and then it created the state for me. It's the same thing when you drag transition and drop it. It will create a state for you, and at the end it will ask for what is the type of state that you want to create, and you'll get a proposal as well for it. And also you can create map lines as well. You can do mapping from the state, so you can press the dot and use the map property here. So if you want to create from the input, so let's say Flux input to, for example, this one, and you can see that it's creating the map line for me. And it's the same thing for the transition. I can also do mapping in there from Flux input, let's say, to Flux output, and you can see it created the transition as well for me. Next one is the SOP API. So I can also create operation for my SOP API. So once you have a blank SOP API here, you can press the dot key, and then you can search for a group service to be added as operations. For example, I have a print person, something like countdown, etc., etc. So it works in a similar way. Next is the REST API. So when I have a blank REST API, I can also press the dot key. Then I can create a path. So let's say test. Once I'm here, I can press the dot key again, and I can create an operation. So let's say a post. Then I can select the service that I want. So let's say we want the print person. Then I can add it body parameter, press the dot key again, and you can see that I'm proposed with the possible body parameter for it. So let's select input. Then I can create also responses. So let's say I want a response for 200. Then I can pick the body. It's going to be output, no header. You can do the same thing for parameters. So let's say, for example, I want query parameter, and I can use param here. It's going to set it up for me. So that's all the content assist you can use. It's only a glimpse of it. There's a lot of things you can do with content assist, and once you learn how to use it, you're gonna become really productive. Alright, so that's all for this video, and thank you for watching.